as we progress from 5G to 6G, and looking particularly at the relationship within Korea, Republic of Korea and Japan and the European Union. A reminder that today's session is being recorded, so please be aware that you are being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, you may be asked to leave the session. And if you wish to speak at any point throughout, please raise the hand using the raise the hand setting as well. Um, Thank you very much to Ruth, who has been responsible for organising the session with us within INSTAR, but allow me to give a quick overview of the introduction to INSTAR as well. So my name is Brendan Rowan. I work for BlueSpecs, and we're part of the coordination team of, well, we are the coordination team of INSTAR, and I will explain that shortly in a second. So Christian, if you go to the next slide. Before I get going, I would like to just do a quick introduction to the day. So I will be speaking through the agenda and a bit about what INSTAR is before handing over to Ruth, who will be managing throughout the whole session the different engagements that we have. We will be starting off with the position from the European Union. So we'll have a short talk from Carlos Lopez Rodriguez from the DG Connect, who'll be giving an overview of the standardization system and the approach towards the partner countries within Republic of Korea and Japan. And then also we'll be hearing specifically on the topic of the 6G within the 6G SNS joint undertaking as well. Then we'll be hearing further on the EU-Korea and EU-Japan partnerships. So we'll be hearing from, again, the SNS joint undertaking before going over to Korea to hear from Miss Hyungwon Esther Lee, who's a manager within the mobile communication standardization team of TTA. And then we'll also be hearing a bit more around the EU-Japan activities from Peter Fattening, who's a Minister Councillor for the Digital Economic Policy around this arena. We will then hear more around the innovation collaborations and a couple of examples that have been funded on European Japan and European Korea innovation actions around developing new solutions within 5G into 6G arena. And we'll be hearing from the Yonsei University in South Korea, and we'll also be hearing from Adam Fidusowski, who is a coordinator of the 6G Mirai. Then we will be going into a bit more of an open discussion, but being led through Ruth within a round table where we'll be hearing different inputs from some of the speakers you've heard earlier, but also from members of the INSTAR 6G European Task Force, Vasilis Perikis. Apologies for the pronunciation. This has been a difficult pronunciation agenda, I have to add. And then finally, we'll be hearing from Demir talking a bit more around the future direction of INSTAR international collaborations and how we can foster, based on discussions today, closer alignment around this topic of 5G, 6G. A short introduction to who we are as INSTAR. So we are very fortunate today to be organising this session with many different partners, with the European Commission, with TTA, with various actors from within the 6G SNS joint undertaking and various innovation actions across the board. But our role, particularly in INSTAR, just to give you the introduction, is that we are here as a coordination support action. This means that we exist to support a particular objective, and we are around from January 2024 and we finish in June 2026, and we look at the approach to how we can develop common visions and roadmaps around standardization with areas, with regions such as Japan, Korea, who are part of the focus today, but also a broader aspect with looking at North America, within Canada and US, and other geographies included in that as well. And we look at this from the area of 6 key technologies. Go to the next slide, Christian. So you will see here, for example, we have 6 European task forces. So we have over 70 members of the European task forces providing expert insight onto what are the key priorities they're identifying in standardization roadmaps and plans and policies. These are all published online and are widely available for any of you who would like to read them. The next iterations are due in a month's time, so we look forward to incorporating further inputs and actions there. a call to action for any of you out there on the call. If you'd like to be a member of any of the European task forces, please do reach out to any of the INSTAR team members or send an email to Christian or Luigi, who've been involved in the collection of your inputs for today. And then finally, just to mention, the international task forces that we have, we're working with two different partners on this. So we are delighted to be so closely working with Mina and her team from the Telecoms Technology Association in Korea, which has over 250 members and has already published around 26,500 standards. And on the other side, we're looking at our furthering engagement with the Japan Business Council in Europe, which looks at how we can bridge those priorities that we're getting through industry from both sides. Both of our memoranda of understanding are focusing on cybersecurity, AI, digital ID, quantum IoT, 5G, 6G, data, and cloud edge IoT. And we look at how we can further the joint prioritization that we have here today. And that's a short introduction from me, just to say thank you very much to everyone who's participating to the session today. We really look forward to some stimulating discussion around this topic of towards 6G, the standardization and the innovation opportunity between the EU, Korea and Japan. And with that, I hand over to our chair of today's session, Ruth, who is the European Task Force Chair of 5G, 6G from INSTAR, but also is leading on the is a lead researcher within Fortis on industrial IoT and also networks, if I can say that correctly, Ruth. And over to you, Ruth.
Thank you, Brandon. Hi, everybody. So we are going to start now with the sessions. The first session that we have provides you an overview on the 6G landscape by the European Commission. So Carlos Lopez, our project officer from DGCNet, will open, and then we have Odysseas Spirovolakis, so SNS2 program officer. So Carlos, go ahead.
Thank you, Ruth, and good morning, colleagues, or good afternoon, depending on the geographical location where you are. So indeed, thank you, Brendan and Ruth, for the introduction of INSTAR. I will give a little bit of an overview about the dual role that INSTAR has in supporting the European standardization strategy and also the digital partnerships that the EU has with both Japan and the Republic of Korea. As you know, standardization, and especially in the digital field, has become a matter of geopolitical interest in the past years. The EU standardization strategy, which was published in 2022, fully recognizes this amongst its 5 pillars. Indeed, one of the pillars is to promote EU leadership and influence in international standardization in order to gain competitiveness and also promote a human-centric vision of digital technologies in order with our values and interests. A strong component of this is, of course, to align and joint efforts with like-minded countries that share our values and interests. And both Japan and Korea are amongst our closest allies, as it's evidence looking at the current geopolitical landscape, but also the fact that these are the 2 first countries which the EU signed digital partnerships already back in 2022. So through the collaboration of these digital partnerships, we are together with Japan and Korea boosting our industrial competitiveness, innovation and resilience in emerging technologies, and we are also advancing our cooperation in research and innovation, and I will come to that point a bit later. Indeed, in the digital partnerships, we agreed to work in crucial areas of common interest, such as AI, cybersecurity, quantum, or the topic of today's webinar, 6G, where with both countries, the EU has launched collaborative research and innovation projects under the Smart Joints undertaking, Smart Joints and Services Joint Undertaking. As you know, collaborating in all these topics, AI, quantum, etc., in a certain way goes down to standards. So for us, INSTAR is a very important instrument to support the implementation of these 2 political objectives of the European Union, the European Standardization Strategy and the digital partnerships with Japan and Korea. As Brendan explained, INSTAR mission is to promote alignment with like-minded partners on a common vision of ICT standardization of digital technologies. And we do that via exchange of practices, developing or adopting common standards and common positions in international standardization bodies. This is what the project is promoting. And it does so through the setting up of European and international task forces that bring experts in the different technology domains. INSTAR geographical scope covers different countries and 6 technologies that are very relevant for this partnership. So AI, data, cybersecurity, and electronic identity, quantum, IoT cloud, and connectivity. And this workshop is organized as they were saying before by the lead of the 6G workstream. And I must say that the timing could not be better. On one side, this could be seen as a direct follow-up of the 3rd Digital Partnership Council with Japan, which took place on the 12th of May in Tokyo, and was co-chaired by Henna Virkunen, the European Commission's Executive Vice President for Technological Sovereignty, Security and Democracy, alongside Masaaki Taira, Minister for Digital Transformation, Masaki Adaki, State Minister of Internal Affairs and Communications, Shinji Takeuchi, Parliamentary Vice Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. On the other side, it continues the long-standing commitment between the EU and the Republic of Korea to work together in the digital field, where actually very recently both sides concluded negotiations for a landmark digital trade agreement. And one of these goals of this digital trade agreement is to remove and prevent the emergence of unjustified barriers to trade, which can be prevented working together in standardization, amongst other things. So thank you very much again for your attention and for your participation today. And now I will pass the floor to my colleague Odysseas from the SNSJU to explain a bit the overview of the 6G landscape and what the EU is trying to achieve through standardization. So thank you very much. And Odysseas, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Good morning, everybody within Europe, and good afternoon, everybody in Asia. My name is Odysseas Pyroflakis. I'm working for the Smart Networks and Services Joint Undertaking, and I have the pleasure to present you what SNS is currently doing in the context of standardization in the area of 6G, but also in the international cooperation with Japan and the Republic of Korea. Just for clarification, Brendan, I only have one presentation, mainly focusing on the standardization aspect, but also I will talk about collaboration with Japan and Korea. Just give me a second to share my slides. I don't know if you can see my slides.
We can see them, yes. Thank you.
Okay, in a full screen, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the presentation today will focus on the SNS joint undertaking vision and road mapping. Then we go into the sales activities towards standardization, and then we'll see what are the achievements so far in this area, but also what kind of collaboration we have achieved with at the international level, mainly with the US, Japan, and the Republic of Korea. So the Smart Network and Services Joint Undertaking is a PPP, is a public-private partnership established between the European Commission and the 6GIA, the 6G Industry Association in Europe. Our vision is to lead the transition from existing wireless technologies to 6G, putting Europe in the forefront and pioneering in new capabilities innovation. In this context, we have a set of activities that we are undertaking. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay. So the first and most important is the funding of research and innovation. Uh, Additionally, we are participating in the 6G standardization process, mainly with pre-standardization activities coming from our project portfolio, but also contributing or facilitating the contribution in the standardization bodies of our projects and the beneficiaries that they are participating in our project. We're also coordinating the national deployment agenda together with member states in specific domains, like, for example, the 5G corridors with the strategic deployment agenda on 5G for connected and automated mobility. And also, we are trying to co-create with vertical sectors uh, the evolution towards 6G technologies and how 6G technologies can really add benefit for their sectors. So it is our commitment to contribute, to the targets of the European Union towards the digital transition of the economy through future network technologies. So, in order to do so, we are addressing a broad set of technologies, and there are several technological challenges in the area of 6G, as they are also reflected in our strategic research and innovation agenda. So 6G technology will require significant technological breakthrough in order to enable its ambitious goals. So you can see that actually our activities spanning from topics like system architecture and the way that the AI can be introduced in an AI native matter, well-known aspects, research topics for wireless communication, like radio signal processing, optical communications, and optical networking is also part of the research activities. Ubiquitous computing through edge cloud integration is also part of our research agenda. And also covering topics like cybersecurity and integration of terrestrial and non-terrestrial networks. In this context, of course, we are also aiming towards collaboration with other initiatives in the context of research and innovation in Europe, in areas that actually they are not typical, I would say, research topics like microelectronics, like quantum computing, but also topics that they are having an impact, a great impact in future network technologies. And for that, we are trying to have as much collaboration as possible with other initiatives around the EU. Now, coming to the standardization, as you can see in this slide, standardization of 6G, it's a very, I would say, complex process, because there's a lot of stakeholders participating. Several activities are carrying out, because 6G cannot be seen as the next generation of wireless communication, but can be considered as a system of systems, introducing the need for convergence of computing and communication capabilities, introducing new concepts like integrated communication and sensing, the cloudification, softwareization of network, and so on and so forth. So it is not only the usual, let's say, suspect of standardization, but it is a broad community that actually is working towards standardizing 6G technologies. And the challenge for the EU is versus other countries is to mobilize stakeholders in a, if possible, synchronized way. We need to to merge our contributions and try to have a coherent contributions in the standardization bodies. As you can see, we are, I would say, at the beginning of 6G standardization. If you consider, for example, the activities of 3GPP, we are heading towards release 20, where we will have the first set of of standards, I would say, description documents, TRs, technical reports, that are expected in release 20 in order to move forward towards release 21, where we're going to have the first, I would say, normative documents for 6G standardization, which is expected around 28. The thing is that actually the next 2 years are very critical because all the contributions to the technical specifications of 6G will emerge in order to, to lead towards the normative standards in 2028. Uh, that means that actually it is now the time for our project portfolio to contribute to standardization activities with their technical contributions. Apart from 3GPP, of course, you will see that actually other standardization bodies like the ITU has very specific contributions in very specific roadmap towards standardization of 6G, together with other industrial fora and associations and other bodies. Not to mention Edge, of course, ITF, but also bodies like ORAN, which also plays a very important role in the in technical specification for Open RAN. But also international associations like the 6GIA that I previously mentioned, but also BDVA, AIOTI, and several others. So, in a nutshell, we are in, let's say, in the tipping point where actually, the technical contributions to standardization bodies are very important, and that's why we're pushing towards our contributions in the standardization body from our project portfolio. As you can see, the way that we are tackling research and innovation is not isolated from the whole life cycle of technology, standardization, deployment, and commercialization. We believe it is very important to make sure that actually we will have the so-called socioeconomic impact of the of 6G technologies. Therefore, we consider it very important not to only to address the research innovation part, but also going through standardization and open innovation to technological development, and from there to deployment, pre-deployment, deployment of 6G technologies, and then, of course, in the future, in the commercialization of 6G network for the benefit of economy and the society. In order to do so, of course, I've mentioned that actually we have a very rich set of projects that are aiming to contribute to 6G research innovation. In this slide, you can see, of course, you cannot see the details, but you can see our project portfolio of 79 projects that they are spanning from activities from beyond 5G, which is started in the first phase of SNS joint undertaking, then to research and innovation activities in the area of 6G. You can see in the blue line with the blue color the stream A, which is about beyond 5G technologies, and then with green color you can see the research and innovation activities under stream D, which is focusing on 6G technologies. And then, of course, there you can see HexaX2, our flagship project, having a dominant role in these activities. And then you can see in purple color the project dealing with experimental infrastructure and platforms, so the so-called Stream C. And last but not least, the Stream D, which is about large-scale trials and pilots with verticals. As you may see in this slide, all these projects are dealing with a very diverse set of technologies, spanning from wireless communications, from the softwareization and cloudification of the network, or with the integration of terrestrial and non-terrestrial networks, with AI, of course, and security, and several other topics. And also, they are focusing either in the broader set of network technologies or in specific network domains like the radio access network or the core network or the transport and so on and so forth. Also, since we are at the third year of our operations, we have already achieved also the publication of several a set of white papers coming from the contribution of our project in the area of AI on the 6G architectures, on the networks and service management of beyond 5G and 6 network, but also the definition of 6G KPIs. All these contributions are very important because they are coming from consensus building between within our SNS community, and also they have in some cases an impact on standardization process and contributions to standardization and pre-standardization activities. Now, as you can see in this slide, it is standardization and the impact that the project will, SNS project will have standardization. It's very important for us. That's why it is one of the evaluation criteria in our evaluation processes. So, among other things, we are considering what will be the impact and the contribution to pre-standardization activities. And now, if you see on the right side, a set of priorities of standardization and the areas of expected impact, where actually we have seen the first to have the first results. So the first area is the validation of KPIs and the way that actually we can contribute these KPIs to the discussion within the ITU on the KPIs, which is expected to have the finalization of the definition sometime in 2026. The other very important topic is the KPIs, the key value indicators. So we are trying to contribute to the qualification and quantification of the KPIs in order to make sure that actually this will be will be somehow incorporated in 6G standardization activities and standards setting. Another important topic is the contribution to standardization within 3GPP, of course, in terms of study items in the context of Release 20, ITUR, but also pre-standardization activities carried out within HE industry groups and also software development groups. And of course, last but not least, is the preparation of longer-term phases of 6G, because our project portfolio is also involved in several longer-term activities, where actually will influence the future standardization process. I would also like to mention that actually in the context of contribution standardization bodies, we have achieved a very big milestone last year, where actually our project portfolio, together with several national initiatives, joined forces in order to jointly contribute in SA1 of 3GPP, a set of 6G use cases, which have been welcome. These contributions have been very much welcome from the 3GPP. The fact that actually our projects have influenced so far the standardization activity can also be seen in our KPIs. So, considering the achievements of SNS joint undertaking, I would like to mention three specific achievements which are very much related to standardization activities. So we had 1,135 standardization contributions in these 2 years from SNS project in various standardization organization and other fora. We had 91 patents, and some of them have already been accepted in the area of 6G technologies. But also we have a big set of 82 open source contributions in several open source initiatives, which is also we are considering very much and very important in the context of open innovation. Only 2024 we had 574 contributions to SDOs and other bodies. As I've mentioned, we have proposed 6 families of use cases that will transform society, industry, and competitiveness in the context of 6G technologies. And we had 59 patent applications from our project portfolio. So it is very important for us to make sure that actually we provide the opportunities to the European stakeholders in industry, research, and academia to achieve the leading position in standardization process. This is one of the key. I would like to talk in the context of standardization for 2 emerging topics that we consider very important for the future of standardization, especially in the area of 6G. The one is the impact of open source in general in 6G, but also in standardization. We consider that there is an evolution towards the evolution towards cloudification and softwareization of the network makes the standardization process different from the previous generation. That means that actually we have smaller research innovation cycles on the 6G technologies, and that the impact that actually the open source can have in specific domains of 6G will be very important. That's why early enough our projects are contributed to standard to SDGs, to software development groups of ETSI, in order to make sure that actually the European beneficiaries will have a leading role in defining the activities in this open source group. But also in the broader context, there were several contributions I have mentioned in the open source relevant initiatives, but also as you can see from this slide, there is a lot of use of open source from our projects, and we will continue to promote the use and the development and the development and the participation of our projects in open source initiatives. The other topic that will influence the standardization process is, of course, AI. So the recent white paper on AI as a key enabler of 6G network highlights the importance of AI for 6G, either as AI for 6G, but also 6G for AI. But in this context, and especially in the context of standardization, we believe that AI is one of the major building blocks of future 6G networks. And it will play a key role in 6G standardization process because AI is not an add-on, but it is a foundational design axis together with spectrum and architecture, and that's why it will influence the standardization process. And standardization in the context of AI is mainly focusing on frameworks and interfaces and not about freezing specific or picking up specific machine learning models. And also it is important the creation of an open ecosystem. So Coming on the synergies, because in SNS joint undertaking, we are strongly believe collaboration and partnership is a strong priority for us. So, and we have tried to design our program in a way that actually we are promoting collaboration within Europe, but also in the international level. This is also very important about standardization, because standardization is about consensus building at a broader level. And without having building bridges with other members of other countries around the world that also are sharing the same views with us about standardization in 6G, will not make our contributions and our efforts towards research and innovation for 6G as impactful as they are now. So in this context, we have already established the national cooperation project with the US, with the 6G XL, with Japan, with 6G Mirai, and with Republic of Korea with 6G Arrow. I would like, and especially since now we're talking also about the international cooperation with Japan and Korea, I'm really happy to participate in this process from the beginning, because especially for with Japan and Korea, we have tried, to set up, I would say, a new mechanism based on mirror project from both sides, addressing the same research innovation topics. And we have tried that by building the same, let's say, call text in order to make sure that actually both projects, in either case, will address the same research objectives and will benefit from collaboration among them. And collaboration is not only, about the specific research activities, but also it's about common dissemination of the outcomes, sharing data, sharing experience, and promoting as much as possible collaboration. I'm not gonna go into details about this project because later on we will have the specific presentation from this project. But I'm really proud that actually we have achieved this collaboration. On the other side, we are also working closely with the 6G national initiatives within the EU, and we already have impact in standardization process. I've mentioned also the joint contributions that we have done with some national initiatives in defining 6G use cases in SA1 of 3GPP. Now, closing this presentation, I would like to sum up with some key takeaways that I would like to keep from this presentation. The first one is that the SNS journal dating is a key platform to facilitate research and collaboration towards 6G standardization. This is important future solutions to abide with European rules for security, privacy, sustainability, and technological sovereignty. For this reason, there is a strong synergy with SDOs, because this is important in order to make sure that actually we will achieve global 6G standards. The second point is that actually the SNS roadmap is fully aligned to support the complex standardization efforts. As I have mentioned, the next 2 years will be critical, so we need to make sure that actually our SNS ecosystem, for our beneficiaries, will have the opportunity to, together with the national initiatives, but also with international partners, to join forces in order to jointly contributing to standardization activities. It is also very much important to make sure that actually also beneficiaries from the verticals, from the users, from the demand side, let's say, will also have a say, not to make sure that actually 6G technologies will be impactful and will really help the digital transformation of several other industries. The third point I would like to mention is that the 6G standardization process will be strongly influenced by open source and artificial intelligence. From one side, open source have proven to be a successful model in 5G but also in 6G research, working in a synergetic and complementary way with traditional standardization. On the other side, AI is not an add-on on 6G. As I've mentioned, it is a fundamental design axis alongside with spectrum architecture, thus will greatly influence 6G standardization in the future. Finally, the SNS program will continue to be standardization driven, building on important project achievement in pre-standardization, standardization work, and also SNS joint undertaking will contribute to the preparation of longer-term phases of 6G, therefore preparing the next wave of standardization in 6G. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Odysseus. Thanks a lot for this opening and also for bringing the excellent results of SNS2 projects. So I would like to ask the audience if there are any questions to Carlos or to Odysseus at this time. If not, so that we don't delay, we don't have much time before the next session, but I would ask you a question, if it would be possible, Odysseus, to clarify which mechanisms or strategies are in place globally in SNS2 to bridge the gap between the advanced research that is being done and the active participation in the standardization bodies?
Where, as you know very well, the contribution standardization bodies is not done by project. In general, there are exceptions, of course, but they are the standardization contributions are based on contribution from specific players, specific beneficiaries. What we are trying in SNS joint undertaking is make sure that actually everybody's voice is heard. And whenever we are talking about technical specification and contribution to technical contributions, it is as much as possible a consensus between the SNS stakeholders. For this, we do have the working group on standardization, policy working group on standardization, which is of course not checking any contribution that any project will do or any beneficiary will do, but try to develop a coherent strategy towards standardization contributions from the SNS projects. This is very important in order to make sure that actually we will prioritize and we will monitor the standardization activities. On the other side, in the context of the technical board and the steering board of SNS projects, there's always discussion about new ideas about contribution standards in order to make sure that actually we will have the broader audience on that, and further discussion on the standardization, on potential standardization activities, and we have the example of contribution in the SA1 of 3GPP, where actually several projects have joined forces together with the help also of coordination support actions that we're having. We used to have SNSIs that actually is gone, but actually we have new coordination support actions that actually are also one of their activities is make sure that actually they will coordinate and monitor the standardization contributions.
Okay, thank you. So do we have any question? If we have any additional question, please raise your hand. If not, we are going to pass to the next session, given that the webinar has fixed time. So the next session provides you all, before that, of course, I thank again Carlos and Odysseus, and anyway, we will have Odysseus also in the next session. So provides everybody with an overview on the EU, Korea, and EU-Japan partnership, 6G activities, overview and progress to date. So we will have first insights into the EU 6G standardization plan by Odysseus, and then insights into the South Korea participation by Mrs. Esther Lee, so that is representing the mobile communication standardization team that INSTAR has a memorandum of understanding with. And then we will have also insights into the Japan activities by Mr. Peter Itnik, who is the Minister Counselor for Digital Economy Policy. So, Odysseus, I would again pass the token to you.
Please, Rute.
Yeah, Sophia,
Carlos,
as I've
yes.
mentioned, my presentation was focusing mainly on standardization. I've touched upon a little bit on collaboration with Japan and Korea in my slides, but I don't have any other slide deck to present or anything else to present at this stage. Peter, of course, we will also cover the EU Japan points, but of course, I will participate in the discussion. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Okay, thank you. Carlos, do you want to add anything before we then pass the token?
No, I was just going to mention that indeed Odysseus was giving his presentation before, so now maybe we can go to the Korean colleagues, if that's okay. Thank you, Rute.
Thank you. So, Christian, can you please pass the slides, or I don't know if Hugh Young wants to share?
Hello, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
So is it okay if the moderator can handle my presentations?
Yes. Christian, can you pass the slides?
For some seconds.
We are still seeing the slides from 6G Mirai. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good morning to the participants in the European area and good afternoon in the Asian the area. I'm Esther Lee from the TTA. I'm responsible for the team manager mobile communication standard teams and the TTA. So actually, I'm so pleased to have this opportunity to introduce some of the activities about the 6G in the Republic of Korea, especially focusing on the standardization perspectives. Please go to the next page. And first, I'd like to share the 6G R&D progress and strategic roadmap in Korea. Please go to the next slide. Yes, and in this slide, you can see the Korea has the structured approach to the 6G standardizations to cover both the jure and de facto standard, alongside the strong domestic framework for each generation of the technology. The Ministry of Science and ICT raised Korea's engagement with the international standardization bodies like ITU and APT, holding the primary authority and the contribution directly. And also the MSIT designated to as authority over the national standard to the Radio Research Agency, which managed the ITUR and APT mirror committees for the international activities in Korea. And meanwhile, the TT operates the standardization committees for the IT standard in Korea for domestic. TT also and one of the organizational partners of the 3PP and the support ICT the forums by facilitating technical contributions to the international de facto standardization bodies. And last and importantly, TT brings together representatives from the wide range of sectors, including manufacturers, network operators, research institutes and laboratories, and the academia also, so who actively participate in both international and the domestic, the various standardization activities in Korea. Could you please go to the next slide? And building on this standardization framework foundations, the MSIT has launched a major next generation network R&D starting in the 2024 is aimed at reading the development and the standardization of 6G technologies driven by software and AI. The main R&D programs focused on the 5 core technical areas. The first, the wireless communication innovations and software-centric networks, and expanded roles of network, the energy saving, and the last one is to strengthen the supply chains. Please go to the next slide. And this project has been running for the 5 years from 2024 to 2028 with 5 major areas and including 13 strategic technologies. It aims to drive the initial standardization effort by 2025 and demonstrate the pre-6G technologies by 2026 and achieve early commercializations after 2028. And in particular, it is the plan as one of the key strategies to actively engage in the global 6G standardizations just beyond the developing specific technologies. Please go to the next slide. So in this slide, I'd like to focus on especially on the 6G standardizations. It is aimed to support various standardization activities through the whole this project durations with public and the private partnership. That means the closely working together and to take the lead in the global 6G standardizations. These complete plans for the standardization shows to Korea's the promises to not only create important 6G technologies, but also actively influence in the global standardization process. Please go to the next slide. As I mentioned before, to become the global leader in 6G, it is the essential to focus on the 3 key pillars. The first one is standardizations and R&D, and lastly, the commercializations. This is the core component of the 6G value chains. So we aim to secure the technical leaderships by actively participating in the global competition for the 6G standards and conduct the R&D continuously on the core 6G technologies and also building a robust ecosystems and the commercialization effort. Through this, the strategic initiatives, we will position ourselves at the forefront of the 6G era. Please go to the next slide. And furthermore, the Korean government is actively pursuing a wide range of the standardization strategies to lead in the area of digital transformations. As a part of this effort, it has defined 6 innovation technologies and also 6 infrastructure technologies, including 5G and 6G. So based on this standardization, the strategy map developed by the TTA, the Korea continued to drive forward a wide range of technical research and development effort. And then please, yes, and now I'd like to provide some brief overview of the current status of 6G standardizations within the 3GPP. I think many of you may know that 6G standard in 3GPP began last year in the SA Workgroup 1. So already the previous speakers mentioned, which is responsible for the define the service requirement for the 3GPP systems. Following this, the first 3GPP test-wide 6G workshop was held in Korea, and the study on the RAN level requirement began on this March. And looking ahead, Release 21 expected to deliver the set of the 3GPP technologies for the 6G to the ITUR. That this specification will be submitted to ITUR as a part of the IMT 2030 progress. But unlike with the 5G, this release is expected to be delivered as a single drops. Go to the next slide, please. And also in this, the diagram shows the timeline of all the 3GPP's 6G, the study items. According to this figure, we are now in the critical stage of the 6G, the studies in the 3GPP. So I'd like to briefly share the outcome of the workshops. One is the workshop on the IMT2030 use cases, and one is the, as I mentioned before, the test-wide the 6 workshop and the current status of SA1, the 60 studies. Please go to the next slide. First, at the 3GPP Stage 1 workshop on IMT2030 use cases, the 3GPP gathered input on the 6 use cases from the vertical industries, including automotives, and industry and the satellites, and etc. So I think we can find some common keyword in here is the AI and sensing, and some is the immersive communication, and also the energy efficiency, like that. So, and there are expected to become the potential requirements for the 60-day one standards. Please go to the next slide. So, and then the 3GPP study items for 60 use cases is begun in the SA1, which is the first work group to address the 60 within the 3GPP. The SA1 is currently conducting a study on the 60 use cases and service requirements. This is captured in technical report 22.870, and it will be conclude on the March next year. And the main the objective of this study is to identify the high-level principle and use cases and explore the new and enhanced service and scenarios. Is not limited onto the outlined in the IMT 2030 use cases scenarios. Please go to the next slide. And from in this slide, and I'd like to highlight some of the key use cases identified in the SA1 studies. Firstly, AI is considered as a pillar of the 60 systems. And also the several use cases related to AI are being discussed, include AI agent and AI for network, and also the network for AI and etc. And ISAC, the integrated sensing and the communication is recognized as the key technology so that will facilitate the new application services using the 3GPP technologies. Please go to next slide. And the ubiquitous connectivity aims to enhance and extend the network accessibility, particularly in rural and remote areas, and with the support of end-to-end technologies. And in the right side, there are furthermore the barriers, the vertical, the capability and use cases are being discussed, including HR LLC, the digital twin, and the others. And in this slide, I'm sure the one of the most significant event in 3GPP in this year was the test-wide workshops, which hosted by the TTA and collaborated with the MSIT and Incheon. This workshop brought together around 800 delegates and received over 200 contributions from the 3GPP, the industrial member companies. Please go to the next slide. And in here, I'd like to quick review of this workshop results. It shows some common keywords across the operators and manufacturer and the verticals, including TCO conduct reductions and AI native and cloud native, and also the sustainability and energy efficiency. And TN integrations and the system simplification and resilience and security and etc. I think this all the common keyword shows that the outcome of this workshop is that the 3GPP has set out of the way forward for the future 60 standard development based on these discussions. Please go to the next slide. So at the test run preliminary that followed these workshops, the study on the 6 run scenarios and requirements was officially approved. This study focused on the areas including energy efficiency, enhanced the spectral efficiency, and enhanced overall recoverability. And the compatible design for diverse device types and common radio design, and harmonized 6 radio design for TN and TN. These keywords are already mentioned in the previous slide. Please go to the next slide. So as I described, the 3PP is now engaged in the extensive technical studies for 6G, while the ITU continue to discuss the technical performance requirement for the 6G. As the presenter was mentioned before, this up to 2 years is very important because we are entering the critical phase where 6G standardization effort will truly begin to define the detailed technical requirements. So I think now is the time for the substantial, the global collaborations to drive the 6G standards forward. So that is the conclusion of presentations. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have here. Thank you.
So thank you, Hye-young. I would like to ask if somebody has questions. So while we wait before passing the token to Peter in the meanwhile, so thanks for the great overview. It's good to see that there is strong alignment, and I hope that we can continue the work in INSTAR or help also in this alignment in terms of AI, energy efficiency, and sustainability. Are there any questions? Okay, so one question to break the ice while we wait. We have 5 minutes, around 5 minutes for questions if other colleagues want to ask. So in addition to these areas, which areas do you believe, so you also spoke about the latest workshop, which areas do you believe would be most promising for further deepening or future EU-Korea collaborations? For instance, is quantum also in the horizon, or other technologies that could be relevant to you?
Yeah, thank you. And it's quite important questions. I believe with the AI is quite important and the big issues in Korea in the current stage, because maybe AI will be the common infra in the futures for the not only for the networks, is for the services perspectives. So in Korea, the government also and currently develop the strategy for the AI networks, because the network availability is quite important to provide the AI services to the people who can use any of the devices for the AI. So I think maybe AI will be the important and the key issues for the 6G. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions to Young? Very good. If not, we will further, please, if you have questions, also please write them in the chat, because we can take them also after the talks. So let's pass then the token to Peter Fatinig about insights into the EU-Japan activities. I thank again Hye-young Lee for the overview on South Korea and also the TTA activities.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon from Tokyo. My name is Peter Fatelnik. I'm working here at the delegation of the European Union to Japan, where I handle the digital economy policy. So 6G is just one out of many areas we are working on in this EU-Japan digital partnership. I think it has been mentioned earlier that this partnership had a third 3-year anniversary just recently. So we finished a third-year review here in Tokyo at ministerial level. But the important element is that obviously the EU-Japan partnership and working on technology and cooperating on technology goes way back. I tried to look up actually when we started the EU-Japan cooperation on mobile communications technologies. I personally have been involved back in 2007, but I do know there have been earlier incarnations of similar partnerships back then. And I think that is a key message when it comes to standardization. You cannot invent these sort of things overnight. Partnerships between countries are not built overnight. This is something I think Japan and many other countries particularly value with the European Union. our continuity, our stability, our reliability in those partnerships, which then back in 2007 started when we worked on the 4G initiative, and then it moved into the 5G initiative. And here we are 20 years later on the 6G initiative, that we continue doing this important cooperation work to the benefit of our industry, of our users, and standardization is a sort of crucial underbelly in supporting all of that. The EU-Japan Digital Partnership works on 6G, but we also work on semiconductors, we work on cybersecurity, another area where standardization plays a very important role. We work on artificial intelligence, where process standards play or will play an increasing role in defining how we deploy safe and trustworthy AI. We're working on high-performance computing. We're working on specific projects like an Arctic cable between the European Union and Japan, and obviously on a variety of policy areas linked to digital markets competition, the safety of markets, or data policies. I think previous speaker amply spoke to the pivot towards AI in developing 6G communication infrastructure. I think it is quite clear that the changes in how networks are being used also impact on how we make those networks. And I think this is what we are seeing right now happening here. That we think AI is going to be a major user of those networks, and that will change the usage behavior of the technologies. I think to a certain extent that shouldn't shock us, that shouldn't be new. I think for a very long time, the idea of that machine-to-machine communication will be much more and much higher or take more bandwidth than human-to-human intervention in communication in networks is not new. And we knew that since many, many years that this would be in the making. I think an element when we move towards this use of AI in the network infrastructure in order to enable the application of AI in the broader society and economy also has to come with a crucial element of lowering the energy consumption. I think it's the right word if you call it insane what is happening right now in terms of energy usage for driving this AI economy forward. That's clearly not sustainable. There isn't just not enough energy being produced on the planet to fulfill all the promises we want. So I think networks have to do their own part here in lowering energy consumption. And again, I think technology innovation can help us driving that forward. The work, and I understand later in this conversation, a colleague will talk about the EU-Japan 6G Mirai Harmony project, that standardization will play an important work in there. And actually, I think I should be saying that this alignment or this pre-standardization work, that is the crucial element. And this is where these country-to-country projects come in being early in these conversations and helping the partners in those countries and in the European Union to understand what is the direction of the travel, what sort of technologies are we looking at, what sort of standards are we looking at before they hit 3GPP and other standardization bodies. So the alignment work is, I think, the most important element before it comes to formal standardization. Now, here in Japan, the Keidanren, the Chamber of Commerce, has proposed the creation of a standardization headquarters within the government. So Keidanren has crucially identified standardization as an element for the Japanese industry to be stronger. And that can only happen if this gets coordinated across the different government branches and with industry. So that was the reason why they have proposed a strategic headquarters in the cabinet office of the government of Japan. And we understand that by this summer, this headquarters should be approved. I'm speculating here to a certain extent, should be approved and then start operation in autumn. A key element of that headquarters will be also to ensure the talent pipeline. And standardization is perhaps not the most easy topic under the sun. So it takes quite a long time for an engineer to grow into that community, to be effective in such a community. And growing talent has perhaps been something we haven't done as much as we should have done over the last couple of years here in Japan, but also back in Europe. This is a major issue. Keidanren has been running service and asked industry who they see as their partners in the standardization work. And it shouldn't be surprising that obviously the European Union and the US showed up clearly as the sort of top two targets for cooperation on standardization. Others, I mean, just to be complete, the ASEAN countries and India showed up as the third and fourth priority in this cooperation, international cooperation on standardization. So that gives the European Union a strong partnership with Japan. Now, if it comes to 6G and Japan, we probably will see by summer a new ICT strategy being worked out by the Ministry of Interior and Communications. So they have started their work back in February. They have first drafts. There is a consultation ongoing. And by summer, we should see a renewed strategy, which also focuses on 6G, as the industry in this country is undergoing shift. It's not entirely clear who will be the champions of 6G communication technology in the future. Certainly from an EU perspective, we hope that Nokia and Ericsson will continue being crown jewels in this game, and we will do everything necessary to make that happen. But we think there is room for others and other companies as this technology is getting broader and broader, and other partners can have market share there quite easily. I think this is a message for pro-competition, and I wanted sort of to wrap up that part of my message here with addressing the risks the United States sees in 6G technologies. Clearly, the United States is not a massive actor in that technology space. They have identified 6G as a risk factor to their national security. That has been addressed over the last few years several times in a variety of fora, and just recently, the White House has spoken again on that matter. So I think there is also a geopolitical and geoeconomic opportunity here to see who are the like-minded partners who want to cooperate on those technologies. I think that is a strong player we have seen in other areas as well playing out as the trade conversation around the world is kind of going in strange ways these days. I would like to wrap up looking at my notes, I would like to wrap up my intervention here, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter. So good overview, also very helpful to us in INSTAR in terms of this new headquarters that is opening, and also the potential ICT strategy in terms of communication between you, Japan, and also for the overall community. So I would like to ask again the audience to see if we have questions for Peter. In the meanwhile, and in an intention to break the ice, so I would ask you if it could be possible to share with us, so you spoke about these two new aspects that are quite helpful to strengthen this cooperation. Can you elaborate further on additional mechanisms that are being explored to further, let's say, implement a sustained collaboration between you and Japan in the context of research to standardization collaboration?
I mean, the first thing which comes to mind on that is that, like we have those joint calls with Japan on like 6G. We also have them in other areas. I think one issue here is that those joint calls are always lacking 18, 24 months behind comparative calls in the European Union. Joint calls are clearly not the mechanism to address a fast changing environment. thank God 6G is not a fast-changing environment. I mean, this comes around every 10 years. So there, I think it doesn't matter if we lose a year maybe or not in administrative processes. But clearly, I think Korea has now this advantage of being an associated member to Horizon Europe, being able to participate in those actions directly when they become available in Horizon Europe. Whereas with Japan, we always have to kind of after the fact build another joint call and then go after that. So that's clearly something Japan is reflecting upon. It's not my job to advise Japan on what they should be doing, but it feels a little bit like a no-brainer with pretty much only upside if you just join directly the program rather than doing very administratively very heavy administration, creating joint calls 1 or 2 years after they take place in the European Union. We specifically, like in EU Japan, we talk about those technologies where standards play a role. I think this is what we see. We see it on data. There's a strong interest on data spaces, on data technology, and these areas, again, an area where standardization plays a big role. We have launched a joint pilot on mutual recognition of digital trust services. So you see, again, this is a completely standards-driven environment. Maybe a lot of the work has been done already, but still bringing that sort of making that interoperable and bringing that to the rest of the world is a heavy workload. So I think, yeah, I would like to leave it here.
Thank you. That's actually helpful. I would also ask you before we pass the token, what is our view also in open source? So we heard Odysseus speaking about the excellent results that SNS2 had, and that one of the excellent indicators, is actually open source software. So in particular in the telco cloud arena. So these new the functions. We also heard TTA also speaking about this need to integrate the cloud native functions, etc. So what is your view on this? Would this be an area that is relevant also to further develop with Japan?
I would kind of go for a sort of a bit of a mixed answer here. I think there are certainly areas where open source has proven as a superior technology approach. I mean, there's no question about, I don't know, server technologies, many other parts where this is just state of the art. But it's not necessarily the first go-to way of looking at things. I think there are questions like, about who is maintaining the code. Will you get do you have that machinery in the back which will allow that open source also develops? It's not just about publishing, as you know. It's also about how do you keep on the code up to date. Those mechanisms. Software development is not exactly a strength of Japan at this stage. I mean, there's a lot happening, and I certainly do not want to underplay their strength. Just to give you an example, entity data has 200,000 employees.
Κοιτάζω το site σας.
Can you please mute? Apologies, Peter, I've muted.
So Japan certainly has software development capacity, but I wouldn't probably characterize it as a leading software strategy country at this stage. So I think there's a bit of a mixed, careful approach towards open source, where it's proven, yes, but it's not the go-to strategy for people here.
Okay, thank you. Before we continue, are there additional questions to Peter? Raise your hand. Very good. So I thank you again. I thank also again Hee Young. We will also Hee Young. Apologies for my pronouncing. Doing an effort also to improve the Korean. So we will have you also in the panel. So we are going to pass now to the next session, which relates. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Hee Young. Which relates with the project, so in particular with the SNS2 collaborations with South Korea and Japan. So what we bring to you are talks from two of the flagship projects that, as Odysseus also explained earlier. So we have Seong Leeun Kim from Yonsei University, South Korea, presenting 6G Aero. And then we have also Adam Filipovsky, apologies, representing the consortium of 6G Mirai Harmony. So let's then pass the token to Seong Leeun Kim, who is the coordinator from
Yes, can you hear me?
6G Aero from the South Korea side. Good morning.
Good morning, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me start. So, as was introduced, this is short introductions of European and Korean collaboration in terms of 6G. The consortium and project title is acronym is 6G Aero. It is related to AI native RAN and core architecture. Next page. Okay, so this is a geographical kind of a positioning of each partner from Europe and Korea. And from Korea, we have two academia involved, Yonsei University and Korea University, and industry from LG Electronics and Research Institute from ET3. And project was coordinated and led by Yonsei University from Korean side and myself, Seong-Yeon Kim. And from European side, CEA, French CEA is involved and Emilio is in charge of European partners. And we have a technical manager from Professor Riku Yanti of Aalto of Finland. Okay, so this is an overview. Let me go to the next slide. So what about this project or concept? I mean, as we move to the 6G systems, there are lots of use cases and protocols under kind of a discussion, I guess. But in principle, the basic architecture of mobile communication system will be still the same. You have a UE, user equipment, and radio access network, and core network, and some database. And this will be the same, but however, some of the architecture and protocols will be much affected by AI and machine learning as of today. So our goal of this project is how such AI native 6G systems will shape. And then, so for that, we divide our research area like in area number 1, AI-driven architecture and interoperability. And area number 2, AI ML enhanced device performance, like in a mobile device. And AR3, AI ML solutions for RAN, radio access network, and core. And kind of a demonstration between Europe and Korea will be support our idea. Next slide. Please. Yes, this will be short kind of list of expected outcomes. I'm not going into technical details, but just giving you some overview of what the project is. So first, we will be interested in so-called intercontinental kind of connection between RAN and core controller, which is already established between Helsinki and Seoul already. And then we are quite interested in next generation device for energy efficiency. And we are interested in digital twin systems for AI training. And then quite interested in AI native next generation RAN architecture. Of course, there should be some impact to the standardization body. So we are quite interested in our kind of impact to 3GPP standardizations. Next slide, please. So these are the objectives up to 6. I think, I mean, objective number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I have already mentioned, so I will not repeat the same thing. But objective number 6, we are quite interested in standardization and international collaborations as well as disseminations. Moving to the next slide, thank you. So this is overall architecture of the project. So we have work package number 1, of course, is overall project management like other European project. And work package number 2, 3, 4, 5. And work package number 5 is a kind of a test bed building or POC building and demonstration. And work package 2 is more on architecture design. And work package 3 and 4 is a hardware and software design. And work package 6 is for dissemination input as well as standardization efforts. Next slide. By the way, we have some debates between Korean partners and European partners. That is on this slide, so-called key performance indicators. We have different culture, as I understand, for evaluating outcomes of the project. Like in a Korean, actually the kind of funding agency, recently they asked us a kind of a quantitative result, like how much delay, how much accuracy. That should be verified by third-party kind of official agencies, which is quite complicated for us to, kind of painful for us to show them those numbers. Whereas our European partners, I guess they have a little bit more on the flexibility on that. I'm not sure, but they have a little bit more on flexibility on such quantitative kind of KPIs. So this is a KPI that we have to satisfy to our Korean funding agency. So this is not actually included in overall project outcomes, but on the other hand, this is our Korean actually kind of internal kind of key performance index that has to be achieved to show the feasibility of the AI native network to our funding agency. This is IITP in our case. Okay, moving to the next slide. So what kind of demonstration is currently ongoing? We have so-called intercontinental robot control. So the robot is in one city in Seoul, whereas the controller is in Helsinki. Of course, there is much propagation delay because of the physical distance. So we are quite interested in, of course, how such physical distance should be kind of overcome to minimize a delay. So we are actually applying so-called the semantic communications or task-oriented communications in this concept. And then to support such services, we are designing so-called AI native RAN and core architecture. These are the two kinds of demonstrations. I will not go into details, but if you have questions, I will get back to this slide later on. Okay, moving to the next slide. Yes, this is very important pictures of our view for the next generation kind of RAN and core architecture. There is RU, radio unit, and CU, DU, which is a part of the base station, whereas the core network. This is the current architectures of 5G system. But on the other hand, when you think of AI ML concept, then the functional entities of DU, CU, or core will be different. So our idea is we redesign this RU, CU, DU part, except RU, DU, CU part, as well as core functions. And then we redistribute these functions to different continents. One is in Europe and other is in Korea. And then these digital functions are connected by a dedicated line and showing them feasibility of long distance communications between Europe and Korea to minimize delays. So this is architecture currently on testing between two parties of researchers. Moving to the next slide. And this is one similar examples of test by Fraunhofer, semantic aware device co-inference. So this is also robot control and together with the semantic communications. Okay, so next slide. And this is a demonstration plan by ETRI, read by ETRI and together with the European partners. And they have RAN and core network. RAN and CN is core network. Actually, they is based on machine learning. And then when learning is finished, they would like to use this AI and native RAN and core architecture to use this one like in a commercial inference systems. This is not that fixed yet, so we will be kind of elaborate further on this architecture as well. But anyway, we will demonstrate on this concept dated by ETRI. Okay, so moving to the next slide. And this is also kind of beamforming for the next generation system, which is based on AI ML training. So for that, we built a digital twin system to train beamformers from the physical layers. So this is one application that we are thinking of as a demonstration, also rated by ETRI, Korean Research Institute. And then this is a simple POC hardware design from CEA, French CEA. Okay, moving to the next slide. So currently, actually, we are designing use cases, our one approaches, and our work package 1 and 2, work package 2s are designing such use cases. What kind of use cases we can think of? So we have like 3 families of use cases in column, and then try to elaborate its use cases one by one. Of course, there is a blank here, but this will be elaborated further. By the way, the project was started officially January this year, and we are just in the middle of the first year. Okay, so let me skip this slide because I have repeated this one already. So what is the impact? This is going to be the last slide. So this will be will reinforce European leaderships in 6G technologies, as well as Korean leaderships in 6G technologies. And also, we are quite interested in fine-tuning of network functionalities, interfaces, in particular when it's affected by AI/ML. And of course, we are quite interested in disruptive high-value application support, so-called AI on man. And then there is a green transition contribution for minimizing, thinking of environment. And global 6 standard. And also we are quite interested in a business model as well. So we are quite in line with the European Act on AI and also Korean Act on AI to use data and collecting data and training our algorithm systems. Okay, so this is last slide and going to the last 17. Okay, so this is key persons in the project. Coordinator Zara Emilio and myself, and technical manager, and there's Marcus for the innovation manager. By the way, we will have IEEE GloveCom workshop this December to demonstrate our first outcomes as part of the first year, end of the first year project. And call for papers will be already on kind of online. Okay, thanks for your listening. If you have any questions, then I will be happy to answer that.
Thank you, Seong-Yoon. So thanks for the presentation on 6GRO. Again, I would ask the audience if there are questions, please raise your hand or write them in the chat. In the meanwhile, so a question to you relates with the strategies that in 6GRO you as consortium are using to ensure that there is effective cooperation. So I could see the results, they are excellent. But so which strategies do you have? Do you have some guidance to other projects in terms of the cooperation between between Korea and Europe in terms of standards development? Which progress have you done so far, in other words? Yeah.
I mean, we are quite interested in our impact to the standardization body. So the industry partners from Korean side, like LG Electronics, would like to contribute our outcomes to the 3GPP. I guess this will be the similar also to European partners. But however, we have kind of limited resources, so impact to the standardization body will be, I guess, a little bit limited, but we will see. But on the other hand, we are quite interested in so-called disruptive concept. That means currently we have very good at face-to-face, the online meeting between two partners, because we have only like in a 7 hours or 8 hours time difference. So already so far, like the more than 40, I guess, online meeting already, and also have a face-to-face meeting, kickoff meeting already in January. So the meeting everybody as much as possible will be our key strategy, I would say. And also we built our test beds, and when we have a new concept, it's going to be demonstrated using our proof of concept. That is, of course, I mean, very well aligned with other projects as well, but you will see what are the difference between this European-Korean collaboration.
Thank you. So in terms of speaking of the test bed, so if I understand correctly, your test bed is a joint test bed that is being used for evaluation, AI, right, mostly. But so does this mean that you also, in addition to the demonstrations, you are also using it to validate or, for instance, to present proofs of concept to standardization bodies?
That's, I'm not sure. But some of the numerical numbers we will use as a background supporting material. Yes, that's I mean, a little bit difficult to answer right now, but the POC is to see feasibility of our approaches. But when you present your result to the kind of standardization body meeting, we need to have, but not only POC, but also much simulation result to show them kind of validity of our approaches.
Okay, thank you. And one final question from my side. So I'm just checking also the chat. In terms of this, the test bed is it open, or is it let's say used by so just open to the consortium in 6GRO? Is it something that other
just for now, just open to our consortium members. I mean, even some of the consortium members develop for themselves right now because we are in initial phase. But in the end, why not open to the public if it's meaningful?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Seung-Leun. I thank you once again for participating, also for your availability during our, let's say, checks and alignment over the last month. I would now pass the token to Adam Filizikovsky, who is presenting 6G Mirai Harmony on behalf of the coordinators, I believe. So Adam,
yes,
go ahead. Hi.
Yes, hello Ruth. Hello everyone. My name is Adam Filizikovsky. I'm from IS Wireless. IS Wireless is a Polish vendor of the 5G networks. We are having an honor to be partner of the 6G Mirai and Harmony project, which is the joint cooperation between Europe and Japan. As it was already said, sorry, I'm not presenting.
It was observable. So Adam, we had the slides, but go ahead. Okay.
Okay, so now I'm sharing. Yes, does it work? Okay. So I have a pleasure to be here, and especially I would like to say that this is a special week because in Poland we are hosting the EU-CNC conference, which is very much flagship of the European Commission and SNS project. So I do look forward to have opportunity to meet some of you face to face in there from tomorrow. So this is a particular week. Okay, so now let me switch. Yeah. So 6G Mirai Harmony project is related to AI native 6G air interface in combination, in particular, with the focus of distributed massive MIMO and so RAN architecture. It will provide solutions and the research level solution and follow with the validation of the concept and highly focused on the pre-alignment of standardization. It has been largely spoken today. This link to standardization is crucial. The project started very recently. It started in April. It is 3 years project also. Has 9 partners in Europe and 7 partners in Japan, and formally it's a collaboration between 6G Mirai in Europe and Harmony in Japan. From the point of view of this collaboration, on the left-hand side, you see the geographic alignment or location of partners. So 6G Mirai project is led by Ericsson. Mr. Tobias Ley is the project coordinator. Unfortunately, he couldn't today represent the project. That's why I have a pleasure to be here on behalf of him and the project. Mr. Renato Cavalcante from the Fraunhofer and Henning Sanek from Apple are the main 3 people representing the project management board. And we have Knit from Italy, University of Pisa, Italy, KU11, Belgium, IS Wireless from Poland, Telefonica from Spain, and also we have Sequans from France. On the other hand, in Japan, the project, the sibling project is represented by the University of Tokyo with Professor Nakao, Tokyo University of Agriculture and Technology, NEC, Kyocera, Shimizu, and KDDI. So I think you can easily see that these partners are really well known, and they represent also the topic of merit, very deep expertise. So the goal and objectives of the project. So in basic, the project aims to develop reliable and robust AI native wireless communication systems that enable practical exploitation of the potential that such 6G native solution have, especially when the self-free massive MIMO is brought there. I think some of you may follow other European projects like 6G BRICS, like 6G Sunrise, Marshall, and others where the partners are also developing solutions. But now there is a new challenge to bring these elements into physical layer by means of AI/ML algorithms. So that obviously we need to consider the next generation virtualized and disaggregated radio access network. So this is the challenge and objective of the project. This overall goal is decomposed into the following 4 objectives. First of all, to have reliable and robust AI/ML techniques for the future communications of 6G. Also very practical AI native design that is suitable to be brought and tested and let's say proof of concepted, let's say. But also, which is very important when we speak about AI/ML and the data, is to have a platform that delivers common platform for the data benchmarking and validation, with also possibility to share, because this is the way we can together grow and learn in this critical time for 6G standardization. And obviously, objective is to stay aligned and to support the activities in the 2GPP for the 6G. Later on, I will show some simple Gantt diagram that basically in time of the project with the standardization. The expected results. For the expected results, first of all, is the design for AI native 6G interface that considers realistic challenges and hardware capabilities. In the few recent projects recently, even outside this one, I have observed that the hardware capabilities are important to understand, also model and see what potentially these hardware differences between, for example, laboratories or deployments, how they can influence. So I think this is something that is popping up from different angles. Here we'll also be tackling this. Obviously, the key point is to have a native 6G architecture design that allow for this intelligent control and efficient multi-connectivity, because cell-free is a lot about multi-connectivity from multiple radio units or access points towards the UE, to basically use the phenomena of spatial multiplexing and scaling. Then another expected results is some methodology to validate and benchmark the data that will be produced, also that will be available for the wireless research community, and deliver this data properly curated to within this project, and provide it also to other projects to create more robust machine learning algorithm and deliver proof of concept framework that will help validating the results and showcasing the results of this collaborative work. And obviously, the key one is pre-alignment for the standards and supporting the 3GPP also the research of the two projects. That is now, we believe, very essential for the future developments of the RAN, and so create a roadmap for how to industrialize this kind of solutions of 6G native across Europe and in Japan, obviously. So the concept is built around 4 pillars. They are called RTI. It stands for Research and Technology Innovations. So in this picture, we can see 4 of them. So first one is realistic channel that enable AI native interface on one hand. On the other hand is practical AI-based physical AI design. So which AI solutions can be used, how heavy they are, if they are heavy, what alternatives we have or what optimizations we have in order to be able to run them in such a, let's say, critical layer of processing, highly real-time, and very much challenging from this point of view. Also, how the scalable AI-based network coordination should be designed for the selfie networks, where basically we build upon resource pooling or processing the resource at level of some aggregation, like some DU level, for example, also very close to some new notions of DApps and real-time control. And eventually, research challenge or research and technology innovation evolves the AI-ready architecture design. So how to do it in a way that is sustainable, that can be aligned with 3GPP standards and taken into the consideration for the future specifications. So that's the high-level view of the concept. And obviously, from the point that has been mentioned so many times today, and I'm very glad that this has been shared from various perspectives, like Korea and Japan, obviously European, is that the projects right now are in the critical phase. So 2025, 2026 is the moment to deliver the research results for the 6G study items. So Mirai actually started in this April, and will last till the year 2027, which actually aligns very well with this challenging momentum of standardization for both release 20, let's say nowadays, but especially 6G studies for the release 21 later on. And obviously, we will, as a project or projects, will contribute the research results of this AI/ML-enabled 6G RAN elements as a study items into release 20 that will identify the core functionalities for 6G and provides inputs to the release 21 work items, delivering the first specification, but also we could provide the baseline research for release 21 directly with the study items in AML, which we believe will be able to expand the 6G functionality and probably bring some more interesting or additional use cases and architectures related to cell-free schemes, basically. From this point of view, as the project is now in its very early stage, we already have a kickoff meeting in April, and the two projects have met. On the right-hand side, there is an indication of the LinkedIn account. You are warmly welcome to follow us and join the group, which will allow you to be on time, let's say up to date with the current and future developments. On the other hand, we also created the 6G Mirai Harmony European website. You can easily also join there to follow the current developments, future deliverables, but also some news and events that will happen across the continents. And for the moment, this is my last slide. So basically, yeah, I invite you to follow us on LinkedIn and in the website. And obviously, the credits and acknowledgements goes to the European Commission that has funded this project. So thank you very much for possibility to be here. And thank you very much, Ruth, for invitation. And yeah, I'm open to any questions that might pop up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. So a very interesting project for sure. Several of us, including myself, will follow it more closely until over the next years. So I would ask the audience if we have questions again, please add them in the chat or raise your hand. In the meanwhile, while we wait and
I'm back. I think there's some network problem. Sorry for this.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so some hiccups. So I was saying, just please add your questions on the chat or raise your hand, add them in the meanwhile. So the usual question coming from me. So you are in, let's say, sort of the beginning, right? The first phase of the project. Can you elaborate also at this stage on, so you are also, let's say, one relevant partner in terms of industry in Europe in 6G. Can you elaborate on the strategies that the project is adopting for standardization? So in terms of, despite the fact that this is a sort of early stage, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, the strategies for standardization obviously will follow, let's say, the other examples of European projects. So basically, we have partners that are very strongly connected to the mainstream of standardization, like FFH, Fraunhofer, like the other, like the leader, the Ericsson, and also Apple. So basically, they will be strong leverage to enable transitioning the elements of standards to the standard bodies. Because obviously, you know, this is through this partners with a strong expertise that we can leverage it the most. Obviously, the collaboration with the colleagues from Japan, they also have their own very good connections. So basically, we will try to bring the results to certain workshops and TGPP meetings by the representatives of the project. And from this point of view, we'll focus, as I already indicated, which is among the objectives of the projects, on some takeaways that are at the universal level of architecture and architectural findings that can be coined and will be coined in the project to help the research and the industry community properly identify the, let's say, the necessary changes at the level of RAN architecture, at the level of particular modernizations that are needed for the physical layer, and also always checking from the very pragmatic and practical point of view, as I said, that these algorithms that will be proposed, that they are really robust and reliable, so they can work on top of existing hardware, but they can also give results that are, let's say, always under control. Yeah, and I think this is the main direction the project will take.
Thank you, Adam. One question also concerning data. One of the output of your project in terms of expected results that you presented relates with data validation and benchmarking, in particular related with AI native wireless interfaces. Can you also give us some information, early information on this aspect? So I assume it's still very, very early, of course. but which directions are being taken by both sides, Japan and Europe, on this?
Okay, I think these aspects will still be discussed. We are, as the two projects, living in some context already, which is existence of the projects that also deliver some testbed results. So I guess some of the activities might be aligned with projects that already exist in the SNSJU space, like the StreamC projects, for example, like, I don't know, 6G Bricks or 6G Sunrise, or even maybe 6G Sandbox. So I think there will be definitely collaboration on this and lessons learned that already these projects have gained, but also I think this Gaia X and other activities. But StreamC projects are already very much aligned with these works, and we are part of actually all those three projects as a project partners in 6G Mirai. So we will follow some, let's say, lessons learned and the best practice to be sure that this data that will be produced is properly curated and validated, and then further exposed as far as I understand, but as we already mentioned, this is very early stage of the project. It's actually second month just finishing. We will definitely think about the use of some data formats and structures that, for example, are promoted by projects like, I don't know, Gaia X, so that these things can be then taken, to the public space in a way and be properly accessed and used to open for the broader community.
Thank you, Adam. That's interesting. Of course, it's very early stage. That is clear. The project has just started. Seong Leon, I think you have a question.
Yes, I mean the question, but a suggestion. Thank you, Adam, for your presentation. And I wonder we could have someday, we could have three-way kind of meetings, like Europe, Korea, Japan, because both of our topics are a little bit in line with each other. So we could have a very good, fruitful idea exchange. So better to have such kind of gathering up one day, kind of later on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It's definitely very, very important and very good comment. I think this is the power of teaming up. Definitely, it is very much worth discussing, and I will pass your kind indication to the project cooperator, and I'm sure that such meeting has a lot of sense. I think it will be soon planned, I guess. Thank you very much for your indication.
Thank you. We will discuss internally as well, but get back to you, our kind of idea.
Okay. And I will pass also on the other side. Thank you very much.
Thank you to both. That is good. Also good to see that these webinars can also help in this context, joint cooperation for projects. Thanks, Adam, once again, and we keep in touch on the ETF.
Thank you very much.
So I would like to, I believe I don't see any other hands raised nor comments in the chat. So I assume there are no more questions for Adam. So this means that we are going to the next session, which is the roundtable that I will be moderating. And here we have three panelists. So I would ask once again Hye Young to open the camera, also Vasilis Theodoro from Intercom Telecom, and Periklis Chatmisius, and just to give you an introduction also on what is this, and in terms of INSTAR, what are we doing. So basically we have a task force, we call it European Task Force, ETF, focused on 6G, and there are of course different task forces focusing on key technologies that are being addressed in Europe. The one in beyond 5G, 6G, more focused actually on 6G, is, so you have the link in the chat, and it counts with 19 members that have accepted to be part of this sort of advisory board, where we regularly try to discuss some aspects that may assist, so based on what is happening in terms of technologies of 6G, that may assist in let's say, broader collaboration or better understanding, for instance, which technological areas are relevant, what are the topics that are now key, and also how is that being addressed or explored in different standards development organization. So the role of INSTAR and of the ETF in this context relates with a sort of, let's say, analysis and awareness role. We call it harmonization, and basically we launch periodic documents about the studies that we do together with our members, and also based on information that is provided and that is available and coming, for instance, from digital partnerships from the European Commission. So the purpose of the panel, as I said before, I again ask each of the speakers to just quickly present again themselves, of course, now with the role of participation in INSTAR. Relates with focusing on, let's say, on a light discussion. We don't have much time, so from now we have, I believe, 30 to 40 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just taking a look into the calendar. I believe it's 40 minutes to do a round of questions with the audience. So the intention is really to open to all of you and to discuss advances and best practices on 4.6G. So you heard several speakers from the European Commission, also from projects that brought their perspective. You also heard Hye Young already from TTA, so our partner from South Korea. And what we are bringing also is two experts in addition to this round table coming from the ETF. So in particular now, so I'm going just to focus on the two colleagues. So we have Pericles Chatmisius from the International Hellenic University, who is quite involved, as you possibly know, in standardization. So in particular, research towards standardization efforts in 6G, 5G, wireless, so networking architectures and protocols. We have also Vasilis Theodoros, who is head of research in Intercom Telecom, and who is quite active also in different standardization bodies, in particular ETSI. So I believe Vasilis can tell us a little bit about this. So what I would propose to do the opening would be to pass the token to the colleagues. Each of you could do an introduction. Again, of course, Hye Young, I know you already spoke, but about your role now as individual and also as representative of TTA towards INSTAR, what you are expecting. So what is the role of this collaboration? The same thing for Vasilis and Pericles in the context of your activities, of course, in terms of research and development or standardization, but also in terms of members of the INSTAR European Task Force on 6G. So I would start with Hye Young.
Thank you, Sophia. So again, I'm Hyung Estelle. So just call me the Estelle is the English names. It's more convenient to pronounce my name. So I'm the team leader of the communications teams in the TTA, and actually our team is have some responsible for the 3GPP, the organized partners in Korea. So the TTA members. The 3GPP, we are handled all our members to activate the 3GPP with the discussions, the internal committee, and provide some the contribution for the 3GPP. And also the key roles in the 3GPP in this 6Gs, we are actively participant in A2R, the mirror committee, especially for the working party 5D, is to develop the IMT 2030 recommendations for the 6G. So, as I mentioned in the previous the materials, and Korea has the domestic structures for the standardizations, and also in the ongoing discussion with Europe and Japan on the standardization. And I heard in this webinar the 6.0 and 6G, the mirror harmony is a quite good approach for the research in the academia area. And also TTA have the actively focused close collaborations by signing MOU with the 3PP SDOs, including ETSI and Arab and TTC. And that means we have some quite a strong collaboration with Europe and the Japan's and the 3PP, the SDOs, the rebels. And since the last year, TTA also has been to work with the EU INSTAR, the signing and the MOU to join to develop the roadmap and holding the first workshops I had. And building on this, the progress and the TTA plans to host the second workshop and present a draft of the joint roadmap at the GISC event, which is called the Global ICT Standard, the conference in Korea in November. So that is quite a good the next step for the collaborations between us. And based on this collaboration efforts, and I think for the moving forward, we expect explore ways to implement and the materialize on the joint outcomes that not only within the 3PP and also the international standard bodies like the RAN Alliance and ITUR and the AI RAN Alliance issues. That's the brief, the introduce and the start on the collaboration issues. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will go back to some of these topics. So let's then pass the token to Pericles.
Good morning, good afternoon. I think that you can hear me. Thank you very much for the invitation. So let me complete let's say the picture about me. Apart from being a professor in the International Hellenic University, I'm also the founder and the research director of two SMEs. Especially one of them, ZRED, is about legal and ethical aspects, apart from the other, let's say, topics that we address. Legal and ethical aspects about AI and, of course, 6G and cybersecurity topics. So I think that this is one of the topics that we need also to bring into discussion. It's very important. I mean, everyone is talking about AI, and of course, 6G is really affiliate, let's say, attached to this. And also, I will also like to stress a few of my, let's say, the hats that I'm wearing, and I think that they can contribute to this joint effort. The first one is that the boards that exist in several organizations like IEEE. I'm a member of the Standards Program Development Board and the Standards Development Board, two boards that make sense for collaboration between not the United States and Europe, but I think worldwide. So I think that we need to somehow move to certain collaboration activities. This is a very good opportunity because we have a project and we have several projects that we collaborate between, let's say, different continents, different regions, but also there are some other aspects that we need to touch. One is coming from my academic background is about training and the involvement of even early stage researchers, not necessarily very, let's say, experienced ones. And also we are trying very hard to involve students. Undergraduate students is not easy, but at least master students and PhD students. So PhD researchers, I think that it makes sense for sure to be involved. We try to mentor them. I try and my colleagues to, let's say, to bring the experience that we have, who are gaining from events, from, let's say, collaboration on standardization activities, and of course from the SDOs. We organize even a conference, the IEEE conference on standards and for communications and networking. This year is taking place in Bologna, and I really urge everyone to, let's say, to take a look. I will input some info in the chat. I think that's it from the time being. Ruta, thank you very much. I will elaborate more on these topics. Thanks.
Thank you, Pericles. So let's pass the token to Vasilis. Vasilius.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much, Ruth. This is a great event, actually, and quite interesting. So my name is Vasilis Adoru, and I'm the head of research collaboration at Intracom Telecom, which is a global telecom systems and solutions provider. It's headquartered in Greece, in Athens, but has international activities and worldwide presence. And also, our company has R&D at its DNA, let's say. So I am managing our company's participation in numerous collaborative research and innovation projects with partners all across Europe and beyond. My team has a very long history. It's even more than 4 decades of participation in collaborative research projects. We have been involved since the early stages of 5G, phase one, phase two, phase three. Now, recently, we have been quite involved in 6G projects and 6G EU projects from the SNSJU work programs. So notably, I am the technical manager of 6G DALI, which is building an end-to-end AI framework for 6G data and ML operations, so both data ops and ML ops, and the automation of both. And I'm also the leader of the operator platform of EU project Sunrise 6G, which is a big Stream C project from the SNS, building a pan-European 6G federation infrastructure. And we have on board 15 test beds with beyond 5G and 6G technologies, which are all committed to adopt and experiment with the innovations that we're building in the project. So recently, the latter has also given birth to the Open Operator Platform Initiative, or OpenOp. I expect that you will be hearing more about this from now on. It's a newly launched open source SDG project, which is hosted by ETSI. I'm the convener of this project, and it's actually about building an open source operator platform that adopts requirements from industry-driven associations like GSMA, but at the same time is compliant with standardized technologies, like from 3G, following, for instance, 3GPP standards like network exposure function. Also, interoperating with many different focus groups of different SDOs, like for instance HEISGs. Also interoperating with the other with the rest of the ecosystem of other SDG projects, as some of them we saw in earlier presentations. Now, the focus of my team in our participation in those 6G collaborative projects, as well as what we're trying to bring into initiatives like INSTAR, is on building innovative technologies. We are mostly focused on the platform side of things. So we build interoperable, scalable platforms that are trying in the 6G sphere to realize the vision of an open, scalable, interoperable network that will unlock and catalyze, new possibilities in AI, automation, immersive connectivity, and bringing together different heterogeneous networks, different heterogeneous devices, and speaking not only about different network domains, as we have traditionally been doing, but also trying to make all them interoperable even from administrative point of view. So we're talking even about a federation of different platform and technologies in order, to create and to bring in the pervasive intelligence as is being envisioned by 6G from the devices at the far edge all the way to the more centralized and orchestration layers in the cloud. So what we have witnessed throughout our participation in many projects, and also through our activities in different SDOs and industry alliances, is that there is a gap between highly innovative and ambitious technological concepts and ideas and innovations that are being brought through implementation to some maturity, and what is being standardized and made available as standard to wider communities, both in Europe and beyond. And we are trying to work in this middle ground, and we believe very deeply that open source is a great way to achieve this. So um, trying to contribute as much as possible to open source and have a large footprint, bridging the gap between research innovation projects, between standardization activities, but also between the real world, the actual industry, the application developers, programmers, the integrators and service providers who are trying to open up new revenue streams. So this is where we believe we are going to be witnessing more and more progress during the next couple of years in the near future. And our participation in open source and in general open communities is the way to go forward, maintaining um, a bi-directional feedback link, between the highly futuristic, let's say, ideas that are already, nevertheless, shaping the ground for what 6G technologies are going to be when they roll out in some years. And, what is very widely accepted and adopted by industry, meaning both the big players, the operators, the vendors, but also the smaller players that are entering the market. And this is also an interesting dimension that is being foreseen for 6G. So, meaning to encompass a larger and more heterogeneous ecosystem of actors who will all have inclusive, let's say, access to the different AI-driven, mostly innovations that this next generation of telecommunication systems are going to be about.
Thank you, Vasilis, for the introduction. So I'm going to try to summarize, so just the introduction, so that the colleagues that are hearing can also think about potential questions and also to further guide the three of you. So we have, of course, Hye-Young, so Estelle, in terms of so representation of TTA, mobile communications, and as explained, strong focus on AI in terms of your interest in also AI for networking and let's say AI and synergies in networking. Also, we have, so Pericles presented, let's say, the focus on the training, so the need to reinforce this training and briefly what is happening in terms of training young researchers. And I do second that. I do believe that one of the problems that we have is actually the lack of know-how on how these things work. And therefore, when we have advanced research, it's hard to transfer in an adequate life cycle to standardization, these efforts. And then we have also Vasilis, who presented, of course, the focus on AI, also ML ops, but also his role. And I would like to also focus maybe the first question to all of you on this, on conveyor of the ETSI Open Operator Initiative. So in this context, what I would propose to do would be to ask first Vasilis if you could briefly elaborate to the colleagues on what is the intention of this new initiative. So in terms of charter, if that is possible, so where you want to go, And I would then ask both Pericles and Estelle about the open source. So how relevant do you believe open source is in this context? Because we heard also today Peter speaking about, yes, it is relevant, but of course there are aspects that we need to account for. We are all working with AI, so data has an extremely important role, but also the experimentation is relevant to further advance 6G until an architecture that we can really have in release 21. So the question here is, what is your opinion in terms of how relevant is this for cooperations, international cooperations? So Estelle, in particular with South Korea, what is your interest on this? What are the challenges that you see? I would start firstly with Vasily, so that you can also present a little bit what you are proposing in ETSI, and what is happening in terms of ETSI, because that's extremely relevant to us. And then pass the token to Estelle, and then to Pericles.
Okay, thank you very much, Ruth. So this new initiative I mentioned is called the Open Operator Platform. Okay, so it's the new SDG. The code name is SDG OOP. It's a new initiative that is hosted by ETSI, and it's complementing several very successful initiatives that have been launched in the past. The idea is to develop an open source operator platform for what is being called the telco cloud. I think all of you have heard this term. And this operator platform will be aligned with the requirements that have been set by GSMA for the seamless interoperator federator. And at the same time, on its northbound, let's say APIs, this platform will support developer-friendly network exposure, being compliant in implementing APIs such as the Linux Foundation Camara that you must have heard also in the sphere of network as a service. And at the same time, on its southbound, this platform will be leveraging 3GPP, both for mobile and for AI ML capabilities. So why are we doing this? Okay, that's a valid question. We have witnessed that, from the research and innovation perspective, there are many different novel and groundbreaking ideas and concepts that are emerging, especially in big European projects. This is the case that we have observed, where there is a lot of freedom to test and experiment and explore many different research directions in many different technologies. On the other side, on the business side, let's say, there are some important areas like this telco cloud that I mentioned that are attracting heavy interest by many big players internationally. So there is a very big community, and I'm including both, academic research, but also industrial community that seem to be fostering and looking towards a similar technological area. But although there are several efforts in order to bring this to realization, there are many fragmented groups or fragmented solutions, fragmented developments. And what we're trying actually to do is to create a neutral environment, to create also, a vendor and operator neutral platform where such ideas could be somehow integrated, but following some commonly accepted standards or industry-driven templates and guidelines. So our idea is exactly to work and to be active in this middle ground that I mentioned earlier during my introduction, and to provide a bridging between industry, research, academia, but also making life easier for the verticals, as we call them in the telecom world. So meaning the application providers and also the developers. So from the 5G era, what we have partially analyzed and observed is that there has been an ambition to involve into all the advancements of new 5G technologies, the application communities, the application providers. All these technologies are not being developed for the sake of technology, but they are being developed in order to provide some real value, actual value in people's lives, and also in many different businesses, right? So one of the factors that we consider to be catalytic in promoting this kind of involvement and creating this way a critical mass that will make such efforts sustainable is to give access and exposure of network technologies and network service and network capabilities to actual end users, meaning the people who build valuable tools, valuable applications, or valuable services, or even integration services to support the envisioned use cases of next generation technologies end to end. And this is one of our primary efforts. So on one hand, to create something usable, to create something that is friendly and open to the end developers, application providers, service providers, or even end users, in order to easily navigate and exploit the intrusivity of AI and intelligent services that are envisioned to be ubiquitous in 6G. On the other hand, we want to encompass and to be interoperable with as broad wide range of technologies, of existing technologies or standards that are well adopted and well accepted by the broader community, in this way to create as much of an impact as possible. So about the project per se, this is a newly launched project. We have our kickoff meeting this July. And we do have a list of founding members who are significant players in EU, from academia, from industry, and very knowledgeable in the 6G area. And we hope, to enlarge this list of participants, and to have a very broad collaboration and participation from the community, from the telecom community worldwide.
Thank you, Vasily. So I will pass the token to Estelle. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a quite hard question to me, because the open source is a bit it's not the expert area, and actually in the Korean tech companies like Samsung and LG and Naver, the major contributor to the open source the project. And also as you mentioned, the Balislos and the GSMA camera API standards, with also the TTA to adopt that API, the standards in the domestic, the standard with the main telco operators. I mean, the SK Telecoms, KT, and LG Plus. So that means in South Korea is also closely engaged with the international bodies to adopt some the open source or some the open API for the telco areas and services. But I think however, there are some challenges. It's the standardization area. So yeah, of course, the 6G will maybe the cloud and computing and AI is the main key, the technology for the 6G. So that means the open source will quite the enablers to the expose the services in the 6G era. But we have to think about how can we make the standard framework for that within the standardization bodies. So the overall Korea strategy is that of course we try to contribute the global standard to regarding the officers also, but to contribute meaningfully to the development and the real implementations and the commercialization issues with the industrial sectors. I think both is quite the important areas in the open source. Thank you.
Thank you, Young. So Pericles, go ahead.
Yes, I'm not also an expert in open source, but I have previous experience, but not necessary for communications. So of course, there is a balance that we need to keep between, let's say, any discussion about open source and the standardization process and, let's say, activities frameworks. Because, I mean, the open source is moving faster. On the other hand, we have standards that they need to ensure global interoperability. I will probably stress in one or two, let's say, items on this, that the benefit of any open source activities will actually boost the community-driven, let's say, approach. So as I have explained during my introduction, I mean, what we're trying to do is, and I think that INSTAR needs also to let's say, put more energy on this, as long as we, of course, all agree on involving even, let's say, not necessarily experienced researchers, and of course also involve and, let's say, embrace industry and both industry and academia. On the other hand, we see that SDO standard development organizations lately, they also stress the fact that open source need to be one of the future pillars of communication technologies and in particular 6G. And another comment from my side is that we also need to involve, to engage diverse stakeholders and of course vertical industries. I think that especially for standardization activities, this makes sense. And I think that with this, these are my, let's say, my first comments on the topic. I will be very happy to elaborate more if needed. Thanks.
Thank you, Pericles. So summarizing open source, so there is this initiative, which sounds very interesting, but of course, as Estelle was also saying, there's also the need to consider the commercialization aspects. Pericles, your view is also the same, but you are also saying that we should also try to engage, let's say, younger so engineers and researchers in terms of standardization, so colleagues that have less know-how and bring them to this process a bit earlier in their studies, possibly, or even in their professional career development than we are doing now, so that we can really have more impact in terms of standards, if I got it correctly. Okay, so we discussed this first aspect, okay, which is open source and the role. So the other aspect that would be important that we heard over today is about areas of relevancy, so what we call knowledge areas in terms of potential international collaboration. So we spoke heavily about AI. This is present, of course, AI for the networking again, and I'm going also to go synergies between AI and networking, which is a bit beyond, let's say, the use of AI for optimizing our architectures and protocols and the overall communication. We spoke about data also and the need to align data formats. And there was another third topic that was heavily mentioned during the different talks, which was energy efficiency and sustainability of the network. And of course, we have this vision for release 21, which relates with the ultra reliable but also energy efficient and sustainable architecture of 6G. So in these areas, which areas do you think are more relevant for deepening, let's say, the international collaboration? So where is the urgency? Yes, I'm going to start with you. I know that in your talk you mentioned AI, of course. So what I would ask you would be to elaborate a little bit more in terms of AI. What is your interest? So what is the interest of TTA and South Korea? Because of course we can say it's about the air interface and the adaptation and the native functions, but we can also say it's about the data. Or are you also considering that it is important to explore other roles of AI, for instance, inferencing and some use of that in terms of driving the networking mechanisms?
Yeah, thank you, Ruta. And as I mentioned before, yes, of course, the Korea, and especially in case of the government, and they consider the AI, the native network is highly the strategic area for the 6G R&D these days. And we especially expect the AI to play a key role in enhancing the functionalities, the overcome the barriers of the current performance. And another one is the enabling diverse the AI-driven services in the edge area. So, and through the redefining the RAN architecture itself. And so, and for the international collaborations, I think, and we have some opportunity to develop the common AI framework for the network optimizations. And another one is the sharing data set for the training AI algorithm in the telco area. And another one is the establishing the interoperable AI management protocols within the networks, and jointly exploring the AI-driven resource allocations and especially across the multi-band the environment. The effort among the standard development organization that should be the essentials, because the framework, I think, should be standardized in the 3GPP, because if we do not have any the standards, the framework, that would be quite difficult to have the common framework for the AI services in telco area. So I think the AI related to the technologies should be addressed within the 3GPP standard area. And also currently is quite the first stage for the studying this to define some kind of the study items for the release 20. So we are focusing on which the items for we are the defined for to solve the AI related programs within the 3GPP areas, because we are focusing on the telco areas in this stage for the 6G. Thank you.
Thank you. So Vasilis or Pericles, do you want to comment?
Yes, if I may, I would like, let's say, to stress the sustainability part that was mentioned, and also have a comment in the end. I don't think that it's an issue what kind of sustainability we mean, right? I mean, if the sustainability will be related to 6G, or 6G will, let's say, will help sustainability and let's say, support. Sustainability was not a focus in the past with 5G. I mean, we've been talking, we've been publishing, but honestly, it seems that it was not, let's say, stressed enough. If we mean energy efficiency, yes, it was, but sustainability is not only about energy efficiency. There are some other aspects that probably make sense more now with 6G. What I see here is that we can probably, this could be a pillar for collaboration between, let's say, the three areas, EU, Japan, and South Korea. And also a comment from my side is that as long as we, let's say, take into account, we consider the local needs and also the business cases, without breaking the global interoperability, then we can, let's say, sustainability can be an area that will boost collaboration on 6G topics. That's it from my side. Thanks.
Thanks, Pericles. Vasilis?
Thanks, Ruth. So, yeah, in general, I agree with all the statements. I mean, I think what's a very important direction for 6G and AI for 6G, let's say, is the actual integration of intelligence across the complete continuum end to end. So, meaning from the device or the far edge all the way to the edge to the cloud, and this means that cognitive capabilities should be embedded across all the spectrum. But the question again is why? Why do we need to do this? So AI is not for the sake, let's say, of AI. The idea is to enable and to catalyze innovation in many different verticals, as we mentioned, like the automotive industry, industrial automation, and industrial IoT, healthcare, etc. And to enable a new generation of applications, like for instance extended reality, that have some requirements, some quality requirements, like real-time context awareness, that are critical. At the same time, I think it's pivotal to include AI native network design in the architecture of 6G networks, meaning AI should not be an afterthought, but it should be actually a core principle thereof. So we need to have standardized APIs, also for model orchestration and AI model orchestration, for federated learning, for the common cases of optimization, automation, like dynamic resource allocation, but also all this being an outcome of intent translation. So it should be made easy to the end user to express, even in natural language, their thoughts and intentions about what they consider as an objective, as a critical objective for the network, and this should be automatically translated through the end-to-end AI capabilities all across the network. Then we consider very important the cross-domain coordination, which means that interoperability should be of highest concern. And that's, as I said, not only across the different technology domains like edge, fog, cloud, but also across administrative and trust domains, whereby security is also, of very high importance. Now, for all this data-driven innovation and AI native architectures and technologies and mechanisms, of course, we need to be sustainable in the sense that resource hungry processes like AI training or fine tuning should be very carefully not only placed and optimized to follow strictly end user requirements and objectives, but also um, they should take place in an optimized way that goes all the way down to the hardware. And this is, we are proud in Intracom Telecom that we from the early ages, let's say, of AI and Gen AI, we have been working on how to integrate energy awareness and energy aware optimizations for the network systems, all the way down to the CPU and memory cache level, with collaborative innovations that synergistically can take place between telecom solution providers, software solution providers, as well as hardware vendors. So this is definitely an area that needs to be again of very high focus, the energy efficiency and the sustainability.
Thank you. Thank you to the three. So summarizing, you all spoke about, of course, AI, native AI by design, and also sustainability. Interesting. So Pericles, I've noted down also what you mentioned, which is indeed interesting. Okay, so try to see if we could, when we will help there as INSTAR, if we could also bring this topic as a joint topic for the colleagues with South Korea and Japan. So we have, I think, just a few minutes before I pass the token to Damir. So to close the discussion in this round table, I would ask you sort of a broader question. So as you know, as INSTAR, we are a CSA, a small set of partners that are helping the community in terms of alignment, analysis, and harmonization. So together with the European Commission and together with your help, in particular with the help of the experts in the different task forces. So we do webinars, of course, and we do other actions, as you know. But the question to you is, so in the line that Pericles mentioned, for instance, training for younger researchers, which mechanisms, in addition, do you think would be helpful from our side to support, to bring your dialogue further in terms of, so dialogue towards STOs, towards Standards Development Organization? So I would start by Estelle, given that you are our partner in terms of memorandum of joint collaboration. So what do you think would be beneficial to further bring, let's say, help you? Of course, you are already using your mechanisms and you are in ITUR and developing your efforts, but what do you think would be helpful also in terms of collaboration and towards, let's say, bringing further your voice and your feedback to the colleagues in Europe, so to industry, to academia, also to be able to assist in terms of new ventures. And I would ask the same question to our colleagues that are in the ETF, 6G ETF.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, still is quite hard questions for me also. And yeah, the collaboration, the international collaboration in the standardization area is quite important. And I think we already have quite a good platforms between Europe and Korea and also Japan, because in the STO levels, we already have quite quite several joint workshops and some other the platforms to discuss some standardization issues in each area. But in case of the training or some other activities, I think we need more concrete the collaboration between Europe and the Korea also. So, and for that, I think the DTA and the INSTAR, I think we have to discuss or make some other opportunity to discuss this for the detailed plans. But until now, just the things quite that high level, the principles is quite needed, and to share the information or some the plans in each the countries and in each area first, and then we can collect some the feedback from our industry, and then we can make some quite more efficient the programs for the each area. And yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. And we are aligned there, at least in the 6G part. That's something we expect also to do more directly in the technical part with you. So I would pass the token to Vasilis and then to Pericles, if possible. Closing. So I would ask if you could keep it short. We have 3 minutes.
Sure. Thanks again, Ruth. So yes, I will talk a bit from my personal experience and from what I observe from younger colleagues, especially. So it's quite hard to navigate the standard space from a newcomer. It's quite a high entry barrier and a steep learning curve. Most importantly, because you need to know the tricks of where to look at and how to read the different reports and different documents, how to participate in the various processes. So I think discussions, open discussions, participation in focus groups with real people, having discussions is something that really helps break this ice. At the same time, I'm seeing very encouraging, technologies that are being used in this respect, especially coming from AI. So I have recently seen some promising use of tools like LLM technologies, AI technologies, in order to guide people who are not very knowledgeable through the standardization documents and landscape. So I think that's also an interesting direction that we might see more often in the future. And last, I would like to say that the projects, the R&D projects, the collaborative R&D projects, are indeed shifting to a new way of execution, which means standards are no longer, let's say, handed or outsourced in some way to very knowledgeable gurus and experts that know how those things work. But instead of just trying to cut some KPIs, standards are becoming more and more integral throughout the complete lifetime of the projects, and I think that's very optimistic for the future.
Thank you, Vasilis. Pericles, go ahead.
Yes. I will keep it very short. I have already mentioned some of the, let's say, of our local activities and or let's say the national activities that we try to let's say to boost. I think that INSTAR should also consider this, but do not forget that INSTAR has a purpose, a specific purpose. I mean, I don't think the INSTAR can let's say address everything that has been mentioned today. I think that the events make sense. The conference that I told you about is not just to advertise an event. Is more than this. It's an event that can bring collaboration to people in standards, right? So because EUCNC has a great audience, has a lot of sessions, but on the other hand, it's not a standardization-oriented event only, right? There's not the purpose of EUCNC, right? So what we tried in the past, and I think it worked, is to bring in even Marie Curie doctoral networks. We worked with Adam in one of them, the Team Up 5G, and we have another one, Isaac Newton, that I'm serving as the standardization coordinator, attached with the training flavor, of course. I think that this kind of events and collaborations need to, let's say, to focus on, as I was mentioning, to training, but also I think that this is, let's say, food for thought for even a future project that we can build any interested partner that will focus more on training and not and training. What I mean with training, and I'm concluding, training in two aspects. The early stage researchers or the young, let's say, people that are not, let's say, well aligned with the standardization and standards, and but also, let's say, the more experienced people that, don't get me wrong, but many of us, we are not, especially academics, but even many people in industry are not, let's say, very attached to standards and standardization processes. We can even build the engineers of the future with some of them, let's say, focusing on standardization and the understanding, and of course, how to participate in this kind of activities. Thanks.
Thank you. So I would then thank the three of you. I'm just going to quickly summarize before I pass the token. And in terms of next actions, I will explain you also what we as 6G workstream intend to do in terms of the technical part. So summarizing, we spoke briefly about open source and the role, challenges, but also the relevancy. So Vasilis explained that there is a new initiative in ETSI, which perhaps is interesting also to the projects that were presented here today. Also relevant to INSTAR, we will follow on that. Estelle explained, so in terms of South Korea and also industry, the main players, and also some aspects that are the challenges, which is important also to consider, I hope, in this new initiative. We went then to also to the key aspects in terms of 6G. So what are, let's say, let's say, what could be the priorities in your opinion, of course, to further establish stronger cooperations internationally. We spoke about native AI, network design, so AI functions in the architecture, sustainability, and of course there's so many things we could focus, data also, which we did not focus. And then as last aspect that we managed to touch upon in these 40 minutes relates also with how can we help. So you spoke about the training, but also about the events and the needs. So Estelle, also, if I got it correctly, because I'm also noting this and to pass to the colleagues. So also the need to further first sit down, discuss, let's say, knowledge areas that are important, how each so how we see this, how you as South Korea also see, and then align on the aspects that could be important. And for that, we need to bring to the table some experts from industry and academia. And Pericles, you also brought again, which I also think it's quite relevant, so this notion of training, what can be done, the initiatives, so workshops and the conferences as the ones you are proposing, but also European actions such as Marie Curie, and training actions such as the one that you lead, Isaac Newton, which is important to train the researchers that are developing their PhDs, for instance. So in terms of INSTAR and 6G, so I thank you again, and what I can tell you is that until the end of the year, we are organizing some events that are more, let's say, of a technical nature, and what we want to do is to bring to the table, let's say, some of you, so our ETF, also from TTA, Estelle, and also potentially, so once we will do this with time, and so pass you information, so possibly focusing on one or two key aspects. So this event is also important to us, and based on that, then we hope we can also, together with you, strengthen the elaboration of this, let's say, roadmap, joint roadmap in the international task forces. So I thank you again, and I'm going to pass the token to Damir, who leads the International Task Force's effort in INSTAR. And I hope to continue seeing you in some of our next events. So Damir, the floor is yours for the closing remarks.
Thank you, Ruth. First of all, I would like to thank you for leading this very interesting webinar, and also to all the speakers for their valuable contributions. I think we heard quite a lot of interesting developments today. So just to remind that starting point from the project was, of course, that we, in 6 areas that the project is covering, try to develop a sort of an overview of the European, let's say, efforts in standardization, what is happening there from the legislative point, trade agreements, digital partnerships, and so on, and then try to share this with our international partners in the international task forces. You heard today about Korea and Japan. They are, of course, not the only ones. We are in discussions with Canada, Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, and so on, US. And of course, the idea is, as Ruth actually exactly right now said, to try to discuss knowledge areas, try to discuss what are the priorities, what are the main topics that are coming either from the existing agreements or the ongoing work, but also to look, I would say, a bit into the future, what can be also part of the emerging things, not in itself, of course, to solve all of it, but at least to put it somewhere, I would say, in one place and discuss it with our international partners. And then, of course, each then side outside of the project should take a look at those priorities and try to work with the experts from our ETFs and also from our international partners to bring this to the international standardization development organizations and European ones, and try to make, I would say, the best out of it. So I would say that we have about 1 year to finalize the project. And as Ruth also mentioned, a lot of things cannot be done within the project, but I think that these discussions that we have today, events, awareness raising, information sharing, exchanges, are very important. And this definitely brings, I think, things forward, because what I think is one of the quite important values of the project is to put some of these things together, at least in these 6 technological areas, and then try to, so to say, connect and relate various activities that are coming either from the projects or from the legislation or other very important policy initiatives, and then discuss it with international partners and move that forward in a more concrete way. And for the end, what I think will be very important for the future, of course, project will come to the end, but I wouldn't say that this is the end of the story. I think it was already mentioned today by some of the speakers. There are various, I would say, associations, PPPs, projects that can kind of carry on and continue with this work. What was mentioned today, 6GA, BDVA, GSMA, AIoTI, and so on. So this is how we will try to kind of preserve the good work, improve it, and then move on with it, because of course a lot of these organizations have a lot of expertise, and I would say also liaisons with all the relevant standardization development organizations to move this work forward. So with this, I don't know, Brendan, if you want to add anything on top of it, but from my side, again, very warm thanks to Ruth for leading, all the speakers for their contributions, participants for their patience with us on Monday early morning. And with this, thanks again, and hope to see you on our next events. Thank you.
Thank you, Damir. Thank you, Ruth. And thank you to everyone for keeping on time. We hope you have a lovely rest of the day and an evening for those joining us from Asia. Looking forward to following up the next activities.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.